This is the final segment of the Silver Box series. If you haven't checked out the other ones yet, the link will be in the description, or you can click on the link in the card above. Thank you. Dr. Leonard Bell here, formerly of the FBI, formerly being the keyword since I'm sure that I'm no longer employed there after having seen my own obituary. Rest assured, though, that I'm quite alive. The purpose of this video is twofold. First, it is a farewell to friends and family. Second, it's my attempt to clear the name of Sam Berkeley, although, truth be told, his name is not completely untarnished. There is no way or explanation that could bring back to life the countless people he killed. I will, however, attempt to put this brave man into a better light, so that someday the families of whom he wreaked countless pain upon by his actions may heal and possibly forgive him. In search of clues to his condition and his possible whereabout, I went to his hometown a while back. At that time, I came into possession of a most gruesome diary. Through a link with that book, a morbid and forlorn spirit infiltrated my mind and coerced me, by great mental anguish, to seek her out, after which I came to meet Sam. A seedy hotel off the beaten path somewhere in Southern California was where he had made his hideout. I don't remember the exact location. As of this time, my recollection of events are fading. Sometimes, memory is merciful to the weary. When I met Sam, he was no longer under the influence of the silver box that he possessed. At some point, as he explained to me, he had gone to do the box's bidding and broke into the house of a most religious man. Sam was set to kill this man and send his parts to the unknown. The intended victim, having studied the history of arcane secrets, knew immediately that Sam was under some kind of curse. He performed an ancient rite long forgotten by all but few that call themselves orthodox. This freed Sam from his compulsion. The man then taught him other rites and passages to confound the spirit. For the next few days, Sam sent parts from pigs, sheep, and other animals into the box that might be mistaken as human to prolong his cover. Imagine, if you will, the spirit of a little girl forgotten to time, and the desires an infantile mind would contrive when given an obscene amount of power. Due to circumstances out of her control, she was pulled into the plane of the forgotten by some ancient hack of wizardry. With her heart full of hate, loneliness, and confusion to her circumstances in life, she was able to fashion her own kind of dark magic. She had made a silver box as a portal between the magician and her to seal some kind of pact. Misfortune fell upon Sam when he was pressed into her service as well. Now I will save you from the more gruesome details, and others that she had inclined to do her bidding. I don't want to make this too long. Back to where Sam and I met. As I entered the door to his hotel, a dull thump landed squarely on the back of my head. Visions of my surroundings whirlpooled into a hazy existence, then vanished. Time passed. Light then began to seep back into my consciousness as my eyes slowly opened. Leather straps, thick and rough, restrained me from movement. Murmurs filled my ears. Sam was above me. His short brown hair was unkempt and wild. His brown eyes focused with intense concentration. Lips were pursed and brow was wrinkled. In his work-weathered hands, a gold incense censer hung while he moved his free hand in a strange manner. "Expulsioni," he cried out. Wind shook the room as the influence of the spirit was cast from me. Once I regained my senses, we began to figure out what was happening. Well past sunrise, we discussed the implications of what would happen if we buried the two objects that had linked us to this mind of madness. In fact, we were about to open the door when Sam stopped. It didn't feel right, he said. After all that he had done, he couldn't leave things to chance that something just as bad might happen again. Guilt coursed through me, as I was not the one to feel that way. Neither of us knew how to stop this horror from repeating itself if someone were to come across these objects again. Sam thought that perhaps one of the rites of passage he had learned would banish the spirit for good. We couldn't be confident in that, however, as these were just wards. Not only that, they were made to deal with entities from a much darker plane of existence. Who knew if they would work on one such as her? Then it hit me. In my reading of the diary, it struck me odd that the magician continued to seek after her name. Though the script was difficult to read due to its old English, this part did stick out to me. Many obscure beliefs of the supernatural hold that the name of a person has great power. Along with that, we did know, through reading the diary and the spirit's interactions with Sam, that she did reside in the plane of the forgotten. We inferred that in most magical undertakings, power is not obtained from our realm of existence. It has to be called upon from another. If this girl was alive in another plane, it would explain how she continually could draw power. Both Sam and I deduced that if we found her name, she would no longer be forgotten. If no longer forgotten, then she would no longer remain in the plane of the forgotten. It was simple logic, really. That is where we hit a brick wall. How does one remember one that is forgotten? We did a cursory search on my smartphone in regards to ancient spirits. Fruitless would sum up that investigation. We then came up with a plan to wing it. Sam knew that somehow you could exit the plane. He had come across her servant, the Mawagi, in our realm. Best case scenario, we find something that will give us her name. Second best, he performs his rite that may or may not work, and we leave and bury the objects. Worst case, we never come back. I tried not to think of the worst case. It was then that we opened the box. Sam stepped in first, I followed after. In an instant, I found myself up to my knees and entrails in blood. With a look up, I could see the portal that was still open, but far too high for us to reach again. Cavernous would be a good description of what surrounded us. Darkness filled the area, but just like when I had taken the diary, everything was clearly visible. Rotten, putrid, disgusting smells penetrated our noses. For as far as the eye could see, the vastness of this forgotten realm stretched endlessly before us. Chills sank into our bones, or it could have been the realization that there are no bounds to forgotten things. No edges to remember, no landmarks or points of interest. Everything had been wiped away. We stood there, buried knee-high in the gore, contemplating what we should do next when we were met by a giant centipede. It must have been well over 10 feet in length. Shivers coursed through my body at the sight of this unbelievable creature. It reared up and towered above us. Then its thoughts penetrated our brains, which caused us both to double over. Obviously, the rites and passages didn't work on protecting us from this. As best as I can figure out, it was because it was a psychic connection and not a magical one. Through this connection, it told us to follow him and not to wander, lest we be forgotten ourselves. We did as we were told and walked through what seemed to be endless lengths of darkness. When we finally reached our destination, the Mawagi told us to stand where we were and await his master that would be joining us shortly. Then he continued on out of sight to do some dark bidding unknown to us. It wasn't long before a shapeless entity appeared on the edges of our vision. As it approached, it was hard to tell if it was a little girl, a woman, or an old lady. Her appearance morphed with each step that she took. "Father!" she cried out and hurried to meet us. She stopped short when she noticed Sam was with me. "What is he doing here?" she asked me. We both paused for a moment and contemplated an appropriate answer. Sam feigned servitude. "My master," he said after much hesitation, "I wanted to see you. I couldn't be apart from you. I do your work all day long and felt that I should finally be with you." "Your mind is not known to me anymore, Sam. What have you done?" she asked. Then Sam stated, "My mind is and always has been yours. I am here now to give you a piece of my mind, in fact." With that, he began to invoke the passages he had been taught. His hand moved in odd patterns, and a chant ascended in tone. This caused the spirit much anguish, and she fell to the ground. A chilling laugh filled the empty void. "This may hurt me, but it won't kill me. It certainly won't kill my Mawagi." Through a haze of smoke, the Mawagi reappeared and slashed at Sam with its long mandibles. Sam managed to avoid them just in time and rolled out of the way. He continued his invocation while he ran, chased by the great beast. Dumbfounded, I stood there. Our plan had not worked. Sam had jumped the gun, and it appeared as though my companion was to be devoured. In a desperate attempt to draw attention away from Sam, I called out to the spirit, "Darling, I'm here. I came as you asked. Let Sam live, and we can be together." In between screams of pain, crying could be heard. "Daddy, you did come. You didn't leave me. You kept your word." "Yes, I did. I came for you. Let Sam live and we can be together." Loud, deep screeches tore into the air like when an iceberg splits. Little fractures could be seen in the apparition that stood before me. Hands reached out as one person split into three: a little girl, a woman, and an old lady. The woman had a fearful look in her eyes. They were blood red and hungry to inflict pain on all. The old lady sighed, sat down, and then put her head into her hands. The little girl with raven black hair had tears in her crystal blue eyes, but a smile on her cherub face. It was then that I heard Sam scream. He laid on the ground. A river of blood flowed out of his chest. The little girl called to the Mawagi to stop with a shout that blew my hair back. It did so and disappeared without hesitation. The woman howled at this and went mad with rage. Froth formed at her lips, and a snarl crossed her face. Hands outstretched, she came for me, no doubt to strangle the life out of me. With a jolt, she stopped not 3 inches from my face. "No more," the little girl said. The woman laughed at this. "Even though we are split, we are still one. He will hurt us. You know this. They all hurt us in the end. He must die. We must kill the pain." The woman's face was twisted with an evil snarl. Her eyes twitched with internalized hate. She continued, "Do you want to go back to the sanitarium? The place where they shocked us, starved us, forced medications down our throats to imprison our feelings? Our only playmates were centipedes in our cell." She then collapsed to the ground. Furrows crossed the little girl's forehead as she contemplated this. "Darling," I said to the little girl, "I can stop that from happening." The woman barked out, "How? You don't know what we did to get there. No one will let us free ever again. We killed him. We killed him with our own hands. Our last dad was no father. He deserved to die." "Tell me your name. I can get you help. I'm a psychologist." "I can get you help," I responded. "It's Her words stopped short. "I am still a part of this," the woman said. "I won't let this man trick us so easily. He's trying to take our power." "A lot of good it has done us," the old lady spoke at last. "Hold your tongue, you tired old hag," retorted the woman. "You've pushed us around long enough. Remember, I was once exactly where you are. Age has brought me more insight. Those body parts would never have been able to make what we wanted." "Family," muttered the little girl. "You don't know that. You only need better parts," said the woman. "No, you can't make a family with hate. It was stupid to think that it would work," responded the old lady. Silently, I sat there as this dialogue took place. With a look behind, I noticed that Sam wasn't dead yet. Weakly, the rise and fall of his chest was still visible. Screams drew my head back around. The woman had begun to rise to her feet. The hold over her had weakened in response to the little girl's indecision. Slowly, the 3 forms began to pull back together. I ran to Sam to try to rouse him, but before I could reach him, the spirit was upon me. Claws slashed at my face and tore at my clothes. She pinned me to the ground and raised her hand to finish me off. Unlike before, where the spirits shifted phases or when she had split apart, a new anomaly was happening. I could see all three forms in one. One continuous life flitted before me. The hand froze in the air, unable to move. Then I heard the old woman speak. I'm tired of this. Tired of the pain. Tired of the hurt. Tired of being told what to do by my own fear. I've let this control me for too long. I have receded into the darkness of my own mind, and now I want to see the light again. Next came the voice of the woman. We must harm before they harm us. The strong survive. You fool! It's the rule of nature. Some have hurt us, but not all. This man has done us no harm and has kept his word. But he will hurt us if only given the time. Let me hurt him first. Then we can continue to build our own family that will never hurt us. No, you have tried that and failed, the voice of the old lady spoke. Don't make me maim you, old woman. My suffering will be yours, replied the old lady. With a sneer, the woman said, I already suffer. It was at this time, while her other parts were fighting, I tried to reach out to the little girl in my mind. I don't know how. Maybe it was the power I got from the forgotten place, or maybe it was the pity I felt in my heart that formed some semblance of love for this tortured little one. But in that moment, our minds connected. Flashes of disturbing things crossed my mind's eye. The beatings, the neglect, the torture at the hands of her wards in the sanitarium, and the strange methods they employed. The pain was overwhelming. Tears rolled down my eyes and I dropped to my knees. For a brief moment that felt like an eternity, I was in the mind of Margaret Morris, a poor, tortured little girl that was driven mad by events that were beyond her control. On my shoulders were all the pain, fear, and hate. The things that had overwhelmed her for so many years were finally shared with another. It was then, between the sobs of my crying, that I uttered her name. Silver light like moonlight flashed across the space. When my vision returned, I saw her, a sweet, gentle girl, and no one else. She walked up to me, her hand extended outwards. Thank you, Father, because you kept your word and because you shared my pain. I am no longer forgotten. I don't know where we ended up. It wasn't heaven, at least I don't think it was. I think it was the closest thing she could get next to heaven. The darkness was gone and there was light. Fields of flowers surrounded us, tulips, poppies, lavender, and marigolds. The Mawagi appeared, but he no longer had a malevolent intent about him. In fact, I would call it playful, like a puppy. Sam ran up to me, clearly healed in this wholesome place, and hugged me. So did Margaret. Father, I know you came for me, but sadly this place is not for you. You have to go back. But won't you be alone again? I asked. Sam stepped forward and stated that she would no longer be alone. He volunteered to stay, as seeing that to go back would mean a death sentence or life in jail. He understood that no sane person would believe his story of madness, and he would be found guilty for countless murders. She said that she had one last moment of magic in her, and with that she would send me back. After a long and tearful goodbye, she created a portal, her final one, for me to walk through. That is my story, as crazy as it sounds. You're probably asking yourself, what evidence do I have? I have none. Nothing remarkable came back with me. No explanation or known scientific fact can validate me. All I have to say is that science is but a tool. Very useful, but if not calibrated, it has no means to test for things beyond us. Maybe someday we will figure out a mathematical formula to calculate the existence of other dimensions or form equipment that can measure its expanse. But for now, you just have to have faith. For the victims of Sam Berkeley, know that the real perpetrator of those heinous murders has faced justice, and she is no more. I hope that you find some solace, although most likely do not believe me. In that case, know that Sam will never walk this earth again. To my friends, I am sorry that I must leave you. No excuse of my absence will be acceptable for me to get my life back together. What seemed like an instant to me was months here on Earth. I wouldn't even know where to begin to convince the proper authorities that I am in fact alive. Don't worry, however. I have a small yet significant amount of money tucked away and a plane ticket for a warm tropical island. I plan to be forgotten myself and to drink away the events that have occurred. Farewell and much love. Dr. Leonard Bell, out. Thank you for watching. We'll always have room for you here when you visit. To keep up on great content like this, like, subscribe, and please share. Have a nice day.